Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. We are picking right where we left off in the Unto Dust exceptional story, and it turns out I'm missing the fruits of the Z festival. Oh no. Go visit Mutton Island and enjoy the repast, the sea breeze, the dancing of the drownies. No. I'm stuck in the Grand Sanctatorium? I think that was called. But let's carry on here. The final difficulty is in the Grand Baron's second will, where the identity of his chosen heir is only to be disclosed when the will goes into effect, which is currently impossible. You'll have to manage, the judge tells you sternly. The Grand Baron lets out a long, wheezing cackle. Well, I guess we should the Grand Sanatorium, that's where we are. Let's consult the people involved in this little shibacle. The Grand Baron affects innocence when confronted. I must have been given bad legal advice. I shall fire my lawyers. His bandages lift, indicating a smile smothered by the cloth. But take heart. This delay gives us all an opportunity to consider how things really ought to be resolved. Serendipitous, really. His gaze turns more insistent. Of course, I had planned all of this, you can be sure. I also had a purpose, and a plan to resolve it. Trust in the Baron, he says, winking. Okay, let's consult the dependable housekeeper. She has procured a flask of tea from somewhere, and has found a niche to sit in. She gives you a weak smile as you sit down beside her. Grim stone faces glare down at you from the arches above the niches. The stone is hard and cold, but the housekeeper seems impervious. "This is all bum, isn't it?" she says. "And I can't help but feel it's my fault. I witnessed the will he left to the heir, but even there he named it merely to his heir, not by name." She sighs and puts her head in her hands. "I thought things was going to get better with him gone, but more fool me. He's never going anywhere, is he?" And let's consult the reclusive heir. He is even paler than usual. His fists are clenched, and he paces back and forth, ignoring the antique mosaics and grisly facade of the court altogether. "I've been such a fool," he exclaims, his voice laced with bitterness, like arsenic poured in tea. "I should have known he'd never give me the estate. It seemed too good to be true. When he had his lawyers draw up and witness that wretched will." He removes his wig and rakes a hand through his pale blonde hair. "All that I've built in the hall, it'll just be a sandcastle on the shore," he says. "And now the tide's coming in." "I don't think you achieved that much, my dear friend. The place was in dire straits. But let's take up our duty and enter the Grand Sanatorium proper." You are given a robe of grey cloth adorned with jaguar, cinnabar, and snake in gold thread. The judge grants you freedom of the sanatorium, though he warns you that the sanatorium works on a regimented schedule. Not all of it is open at once. The dying need their rest, where they can best hear the whispers of the dead. As you are led to apartments in the height of the sanatorium, the Grand Baron takes you aside for a moment. "The first step to resolving all of this is to get me some colonists' tea. They keep it in larders, or they should do. Fetch me some and we can get to work." Then he is led away and you are shown to your own dreary chamber of stone furniture and dust. French colonists' tea? What crazy plan is this? You and your companions are placed in a complex of stuffy chambers, furnished with Spartan beds, marble basins, and stone shelves filled with books in dead languages. Your Tomb-Colonist hosts permit you to speak in the evening, the hours when the cries of the dying are lowest. Until then, you'll labour under an edict of silence. It is morning, according to the dusty water clock on the wall. Doctors do their rounds on the lower hallways, leading the denizens of the upper chambers to rest. What is this? Consult the Court of Silence and Sorrow. The court sits at an apex of the sanatorium, in a sunken coliseum beneath a great dome. A mosaic on the dome depicts the jaguar and the serpent dancing. The judge is an ancient tomb-colonist, mantled with a wig speckled with flakes of gold dust. When he coughs, gold motes float in the air. He sits upon a throne, and from his ancient chair dispenses all the justice the Grand Sanatorium needs. Okay. The judge gazes down from his bronze seat. There are no lawyers in the sanatorium. Neither defense nor prosecution is deemed necessary. As legate of the court, it is your task to gather evidence and settle the matter of the inheritance of the Grand Baron's estate. When you are ready to convene the court and have judgment rendered, you must inform the judge. Okay, so let's do all the other stuff first. Let's spend the morning exploring, while away the hours till the lower levels are opened. Masked tomb-colonists roam the upper chambers, carrying dusters and polish. Methodically, they remove cobwebs, stains and dullness, revealing mosaics and gleaming brasswork. The dying must have beauty to diversify the tedium of their decline. Afternoon. The hourglasses are turned over in the corridors. The upper chambers swarm with doctors and tomb-colonists soothing the almost dead and recording their whispers. The lower chambers are opened. We have a lot of options here. We can send for legal assistance. Nothing about your current situation can be legal, surely. The sanatorium sends messages out to Venderblight. There must be some form of postal service here. I mean, it makes sense. We do need to get a lawyer. It takes hours tracking through featureless marble hallways until you find yourself in a brocade-styled office. It is the colour of bleached bone, as are the bandages of the current occupant. She is a liaison to Venderblight. She tells you she must use fresh bandages for each trip to ensure she's held together for the journey. She listens to your situation with a certain amount of sympathy. The sanatorium, she tells you, her voice thick with censure, is no place for the living. She offers to take your letters. It will be morning before she returns with an answer, if one comes at all. And now I guess it is evening. The rushes on the walls are lit, permitting a simulacrum of natural light to enter the great tombs. The edict of silence is relaxed. You may speak to your companions. Who shall we start with here? I guess we should start with the Grand Baron. I mean, it is his masterwork plan. He is steeped in cunning and old money. He has procured luxurious apartments for himself and locks the doors against his dependents. Not against you. Another part of me wants to spend it with the dependable housekeeper. Like, the reclusive heir is just like a waste of space. But I suppose it is his, like, right? Well, the reclusive heir has shut himself in his Spartan chamber. He is frightened of the whispering almost dead. You will cautiously open the door when you reassure him you are alone. Or we can speak to the housekeeper. She is making the best of the situation, keeping herself busy, redecorating her chambers and singing loudly in the hours when noise is permitted. Wonderful. Amazing. Let's speak to the Grand Baron. I want to see if he'll tell me what is going on. Despite the luxurious appointments of his chambers, the Grand Baron has defaced his apartment. In the place of the banners of black lions and scarlet birds, he has covered the walls with writing, an autobiography of his time since the fall. He spends the evening going through his great works with you, his rivals trounced, his family secured, and with the blood poured, the bricks of Ash Tree Hall. The work of his life, he says, is only the beginning. Interesting. Well, it's morning again, so let's find the liaison. Has she returned from Venderblight? Is anyone willing to help you escape? You find her in the bleached white office. Her breathing is ragged. The air beyond the sanatorium is unwholesome. She wheezes. She produces a letter from her ragged bandages. It is from Ross Abernathy, who heard of the case from the Baron's own lawyers. Their recommendation is simple. The not delaying the Baron's interment, and thus your freedom is the inability to divest his property. As the error with the wills prevents him from resolving the matter, if you were to find the other beneficiary and make them give up their claim on the estate, the matter could be resolved. Then the Baron could be interred according to the laws of the sanatorium. So if we convince the heir not to be the heir, or speak to the Baron about the other claimant, maybe we just don't know who it is. I bet you it's himself. Strikes me as the kind of man who'd do that. It's afternoon again. We can steal the colonists' tea, but then I don't know how that would help. I'm mildly curious to see how it would actually help. Let's go for it. Swathed in dusty bandages, you effect entry to the refectory. Within, cobweb-swathed tables shiver under wan rushlight. Was that Wayne rushlight? That's wan. This is a typo. I've never seen that word. A scant handful of tomb-colonists dine on grey repast. They pay you no heed. Below the larders is the crematorium. Within are stretchers filled with the corpses of tomb-colonists, hung like hammocks from the walls and ceilings. There is a great furnace here, for processing the remains, no doubt. You also uncover an array of bottles, different hues arranged by type. Within sloshes the same sluggish, murky liquid. This must be colonist's tea. You grab a large amber vial and make your retreat. Why do I get a feeling amber tea is not tea? It's colonist tea is some sort of horrendous concoction. It's evening again. Well, do you know what? I think I'm going to chase this tea theory just because I want to see what it is. You have recovered the murky drink from the Grand Refectory. Will he now reveal why he wants the foul stuff and what his plan to resolve all of this is? The Grand Baron decants the foul-looking drink from its amber bottle. Foul stuff, but it should do the trick. Trick? Those near death can hear whispers from the far side. The far shore, yes? There is an affinity between the body of the dying and the other place. This tea, which contains water from a confluence where the slow river meets the Waswood, can make a corpse remember that affinity. Remember it and speak with its old voice. He shudders suddenly. I travelled those waters in search of one of the dead, one who could say the right things to the court when the time came, one who could, to be clear, take my place. Being dead, they won't mind. They just need to find the body now. There is the Hall of Records somewhere in here. I recognise the voice. It's one of the Fairfaxes. Or was, of course. The Grand Baron furnishes you with a description of the shade he encountered before parceling you from his rooms. One of the Fairfaxes? Now we have had a brushing with the Fairfax family in a previous exceptional story. They were the Grand Z captains. Well, one of them was anyway. I'm all in now. I'm just going to keep going, aren't I? Search the halls for records. The Grand Baron is confident that the tomb-colonists keep an archives in the sanatorium that should reveal where the corpse he requires is. I'm going to help this man cheat death. You move through the whispering halls quietly, searching for doctors and attempting to ignore the murmurs of the almost dead. Eventually, you spy a doctor carrying a thick ledger. They record the mutterings of the almost dead as they pass on their rounds. It is said those interned here begin to commune with those on the far shores of the boatmen's rivers. You follow the doctor until they disappear into a aperture on the stairwell leading to the lower chambers. You skulk in a stairwell, huddled by the unmoving body of a Tomb-Colonist, until they emerge, no longer carrying the ledger. Time to break into the Hall of Records, I guess. No one watches the stairwell to the lower chambers. The doctors and surgeons are busy elsewhere. How lucky. The Hall of Records is a circular chamber. The door opens into a spiral walkway. The room has many levels, both above and below you. The walls are lined with shelves filled with scroll cases. The floor far below is a waste of paper papyrus and rotting pulp. As you browse, you are able to establish a little of the ordering. The spirals above you are filled with scrolls concerning the whispers of the dying. These are categorized by age of the utter and theme of the muttering. Fire, flood, thunder, chess, and honey, moth and river, the words of those long dead and gone. You delve deeper through rotted plains of ancient houses. You delve deeper through rotted plans of ancient houses and property in long-buried sections of the former cities. One scroll, however, contains a plan of the sanatorium. It is heavily damaged and equally heavily annotated. There is, in a newer hand, a reference to a special vault in the sanatorium, dedicated exclusively to the nobility. The Fairfaxes are an ancient, venerable family. If the corpse is anywhere, it will be there. The vault is situated in a section of the floor plan which has been crossed out. A frantic hand has scrawled spiders across the explanatory note. Oh, wonderful, don't we all just love spiders? So we know that the Grand Baron, his grand plan is to escape the sanatorium. He wants to replace he wants to be replaced in this whole scheme of things. He wants another dead person to take his place in the sanatorium, and then what, he just walks out of here? Do I want to back that plan? Do I like the Grand Baron? He is a cutthroat, old school industrialist. Not the kind of people who should be let out, I suppose. I mean, the world has changed. He's been in Venderblight for God knows how long. So the other thing is, do we side with the reclusive heir? Yeah, the only person who hasn't really had a say here is the dependable housekeeper. But we can inform the reclusive heir of the Grand Baron's plan. I wonder what his opinion would be. I guess there's only one way to find out. I could screw my story here by kind of playing the field down the middle, but I'm curious to see what would happen. He would probably wish to know his grandfather means to escape the sanatorium. The reclusive heir's eyes widen. But you're going to stop him, right? Begins to shake. He has to go away. For good. This is our chance to be free of him. He's going to ruin everything. Please, please don't let him come back to London. He collapses in a paroxysm of despair, aghast at the prospect of life in which his ancestor still has the capacity to interfere. Okay, so we can safely say that the reclusive heir isn't really all that interested. Let's speak to the dependable housekeeper. She is making the best of a situation, keeping herself busy, redecorating her chambers and singing loudly in the hours when noise is permitted. The dusty ledges in her chambers have been swept, the spiders thrown out, the grim banners of emerald snakes and red cinnabar pulled down and given a jolly good beating. The cushion, adorned with kittens she brought from the journey, sits incongruously on the flaking gold throne. Tonight, she's in a thoughtful mood. She rather enjoyed the funeral, and is hoping that you can convince the heir to throw more parties in the future. She's also very glad for the company. You could go mad here, she says, wide-eyed, if you weren't made of stern stuff, that is, like what I am. Okay, let's go back to exploring. Spend time in the lower chambers, the upper floors closed for maintenance, and the rest of the almost dead. The secrets of the lower are ripe for the plucking, however. A difficult interview with one of the almost dead. She has passed before completing her book of poems. One doctor holds up the head while another pours a sweet-smelling tea into the mouth. The scent is of rain and cardamom. As the newly dead begins to speak, voice crackling with age and dust, the doctors hurry to fetch her journal and a pen. Frantically they record all they can hear, though the voice murmurs and makes little sense from whatever it lingers on the far shore. Oh dear. Oh god. A net of cobwebs falls over your face. Something furred and long-legged has you in its grasp. There are chambers in far-flung quarters of the Grand Sanatorium where the spiders hold sway. Cobwebs hang like tapestries, thick with dust. You witness those forgotten, surrendered places as you are dragged along the floor. Your blood, a sticky trail in your wake. 8 spiders weave you into their webs, cocooning you in fresh, wet silk. From between the strands you can see the other webs, holding the remains of Tomb-Colonists, all with missing eyes. Hatched eyes. Bugger is the response to this one. You hang by many threads, swaddled like a mummy. You are trapped and far from the main chambers of the Grand Sanatorium. No matter how hard you shout, no one who can help will hear you. Eyes watch you from all around these forgotten halls. Sorrow spiders in great numbers, waiting to make eggs of your eyes and meat of the rest. So we have a few choices. We can locate the vault. The sanatorium's record suggested that the vault was in a place taken over by spiders. If this place doesn't fit that description, you don't know what could. Or we could force your way out. Bite, kick, scream. You don't mean to go quietly. Or we could play dead. You draw attention because you're alive. There are many uninteresting dead things hanging here. Resembling one of them will do your prospects of surviving good. Let's locate the vault while we're here, I suppose. Following the scroll's directions, you crawl on your belly through dust and dead cobwebs. You move as quickly as you dare while spiders shiver and twitch in sleep above you. The vault is behind a sealed door, its stones scored with dozens of markings, the heraldry of a dozen London houses mixed together. It must have been established after the fall and is already much neglected. The lock crumbles in your hands. The doors push open, revealing a yawning darkness beyond. I do have one question. How did I get out of the spider web? I just kind of mysteriously just ended up on the floor. That may be semantics though. Your eyes slowly grow accustomed to the gloom. You can make out a long hallway extending deeper into the bowels of the Grand Sanatorium. On each side are rows of stone doors, each marked with the insignia of a noble house. Many are defaced with scarlet moths. Those houses are extinguished. You creep through the dark, peering at faded symbols of houses who've not all yet gone to dust. At last you find the twinned foxes of the Fairfaxes, and beside them the blasted ash tree of the Grand Baron. Let's explore the vaults. The corpse the Baron requires as a stand-in should be interned somewhere inside. The Fairfax vault is almost empty. Candle stubs surround an old shrine, perhaps once paid for by some relative who can no longer afford the upkeep, or else abandoned by the keepers of the sanatorium. Dust and bones can be found in niches on the walls. It is too dark to read the inscriptions beneath. There is one corpse, still intact and bandaged, propped up in a niche as though reading. This must be the Fairfax the Grand Baron encountered on the far shore. It is of a similar build to the Baron. In death, the remains are light enough to carry on your back. Your eyes slowly grow accustomed to the gloom. Yes, we've read all of that. Creep through the dark, peering at faded symbols. Yep, we've read that too. Okay, well while we're here, let's investigate the vault of the Baron's family. You have no reason to, but since you found it, perhaps there's more to the Baron's story than he told. Exactly, let's see if we can get all the information we can. Inside, you find a profusion of corpses. The ledges of the vault are stuffed full with Tomb-Colonists. Some merely dust in bandages, others nearly intact. The inscriptions below their bodies reveal the dates of internment, though not death. All arrived after the fall, but before the Grand Baron assumed his estate. Closer examination reveals that all of the corpses arrived in a sorry state, poisoned, wounded, or otherwise maltreated. One figure is intact, lying in state of bier. The bier is topped with an effigy, and an inscription reveals the identity. The old Baron, the Grand Baron's father. So we can safely say that the Grand Baron killed everyone to get where he got, so he's not the nice chum-chum man that we thought he was. You've lingered long enough among the forgotten dead. You have what you need, a corpse for the Baron's schemes. Ooh, here we can bring in the old Baron's corpse. The Grand Baron requires a corpse whose voice he means to reawaken. This cadaver he intends as a stand-in for himself, and to be interred in his stead while he escapes the sanatorium. You have uncovered such a corpse. Now all you need to do is bring it to him. Suddenly, I've decided that I don't like the Grand Baron. I mean, I say suddenly. I kind of hinted at it earlier that he's a bit of an industrialist and a bit of a cutthroat. So let's bring him the old Baron's corpse. It's unlikely to say anything in the Grand Baron's favour, but perhaps you have no desire to be of help to the Baron. This is gonna be funny. Crawling through the tunnels of the Grand Sanatorium with a mouldering Tomb-Colonist on your back is a dispiriting experience. You must evade spiders, webs, and guards, lurking in filthy niches and hiding among the almost dead. Your head is crowned with whispers from the far shore by the time you return to the Baron, shrouded in cobwebs. The Grand Baron leaps from his window seat when you enter the room and demands an immediate answer. His thin, decrepit frame vibrates with a nervous energy. Immediately, he begins to unwind his bandages, to decorate the body. He does not appear to recognize his father beneath the coverings. Offering you hurried thanks, he hurries you from the room. The Baron's plan in motion. You must now contend with the matter of the inheritance and present your findings to the court. But I do think, annoyingly, I am going to have to end the episode here. This is a very long court case, a very long story indeed. I'm enjoying it very much, and I hope you are also enjoying it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. And as always, I'll see you next time.